real quick tonight. Don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm drawing off of this um, tool right here. It is a drawing tool on ArtStation by this guy right here, William Win, Win. I don't know. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that again. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, this guy has a pretty good little tool for using heads, this head drawing tool to kind of get different perspectives and stuff. It's kind of cool. So anyway, just messing with that if I get in, kind of just drawing my own thing and then using that if I kind of get into a bind. I want to figure something out, so I want to start. Oh shit, I'm not even sharing the screen. Let's start that over. Let's try that again.
So here we go. I'm using this thing, William Wynn, I think. I don't know how you say that exactly, but yeah. So make that a little bigger so you can see, and you can rotate it around, zoom, um, pan around. Oh, I didn't know you could do this. But you can apparently move the lighting, but I want to leave it kind of where it's at. I like that. Um, so yeah, it's a pretty good little tool. I have another set of these kinds of things, not on a website that I like to use, but right now this is a pretty good one. Oh shoot, I think I'm capturing two audios. That'd be weird. So let's just move on to Yeti. All right, here we go. So yeah, anyway, I'm kind of just gonna draw my own thing, and then I don't have a lot of time, so it's late at night here. I'm just starting on a page that I already started messing around on. Not my favorite page, but you know what? I'm gonna fill it out, and yeah, it's kind of part of my deal is I just want to share mistakes and all, and not worry so much about if I'm doing something perfect or not. Um, yeah, there's some other stuff that I was kind of like thinking about yesterday. I was having a hard time drawing things like in an extreme perspective, so I'm gonna be messing with that over the next couple days, I guess. See if I can, solve some things or whatever. A lot of stuff with the torso would be pretty helpful. So yeah, that's all. Just need to kind of practice that is all. So just if I get quiet, it's just because I'm thinking. Um, Hoping those nights that I'm like this, it's just better to maybe put on some music and uh, draw yourself. Just keep this on in the background or something, maybe. I don't know if that's helpful to anybody, but um, I hope this is helpful to somebody. Let's see. Got this thing placed like this. got that going on. Draw some kind of line to I don't want to stop putting that circle down so much and relying on it. Honestly, it needs to be like that. That's going to be. I'm going to get used to drawing up like that. What do we do here? And like maybe like that. And was sticking out too far. Maybe something like that. And too big. Let's go ahead and do. What to do there, but I feel like this line's actually helping. Let's see, I should be able to draw this back to here. Is that right? Feels like I drew it too narrow or something. Like this needs to be widened out. And that's there. And that's going to disappear. Here is not helping the situation. It's kind of like flattening things out. I don't know. I want to figure out why that feels so strange. Or is it because forehead's too big? There, it feels a little better actually. And then shape, good God. Maybe it's just something like that. I don't like having to use that jawline like that. Maybe just hint at it back there. And then that, so we get to that. Yeah, that doesn't seem so bad. And then maybe into the cheeks a little bit. Into the bottom of that. There we go. Because I think this, if I think about that, more of a oval that wraps around that shape and keeps going, feels a little better. And can use it or not, but instead of drawing it, yeah, the whole way, that feels a little better. And then, anyway, let's leave that alone. Leave that alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Moving on. Let's see. Maybe kind of. Let's see what it's like when I draw down on it. Like that. So there's another way I can attack this too, as far as I'd like to do that too, actually. I've got another tool that I like a lot. So this can be there, and this wraps all the way over there. Maybe something like this. Yeah, I wonder if that could be a little bit more sleeker. Let's see, we got something like that going on. hard part for me is getting the eye shape to be like that, like getting that illusion when it goes. And then what do you do with the what do you do with the eyeball? And it's hard to figure out what to do with that exactly. Hmm. Whoa, big. Oop. Nope. Anywho, like I wonder at what angle the eyeball. Tear it up, maybe. Like maybe you just can't see. Just a sliver of that. Oh, there we go. That's not bad. Let's see how you get that. Be really careful with how much of that pupil you show. That's there. That's kind of cool. Let's see. Mm, yeah. Mm, same problem on the lip. Like how much do you show of that? Is that too little of a amount of? Do I need to show that whole thing? And then give it a little bit more math, kind of like that. And we have all of our planes looking fairly good. And then this is all there. I don't draw that, I just want it inferred. And then something like that. And then let's see, I don't know what kind of hair to put on there. It starts up here. That and no idea. Just kind of keep that theme going, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. Kind of like to show some kind of slight hint there of that stuff. Oops. What do we got going on here? Got some ugly faces, got some decent faces. I don't know. Hmm. Let's see what we got here. And all I'm doing is like, I'm just rotating this thing around. That last one was something like that. And it kind of sucks because I can't do anything nutty. I tell you what, I'll pull up the other back on that so it's not playing. But let's see if I can find my other tool that I like using for this. Only problem is the other tool is more of a. Oh, actually, I don't know that I've got the heads loaded on the computer. I do have the skull. Skull doesn't help with that much. There's this thing called the Skull Sketcher. This thing's pretty rad. I think I got it free for. How do I rotate? Yeah, there we go. I think I got it free for. Change the lighting on this too. Yeah, I got it free for. Um, I don't know. I posted something about it on Facebook. I don't know, something like that. I went to their site and they're like, post it on Facebook to get it for free. So I did, and it seemed to work. But they also have these other ones. I kind of want to see if I can find them real quick. Let's see. Can I find them? Forgive the pause in drawing, but let's see if I can find these things. Yeah, hard drive is loading up. This hard drive is super full. There it goes. And this is what is it called? Anatomy 360. Yeah, the place is called Anatomy 360. And I don't know where I. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. I know I've got a neutral head pack. And there we go. I'm gonna do something horrible and actually install real quick midstream. Fortunately, it does not take long to install. The heads are a little weird because they have like band, I don't know, they have smocks on or something on their heads, but uh, yeah, it's kind of. Yeah, here we go. This is the head drawing one. Eyes are all creepy and weird, but uh, they have different heads you can choose from. That looks like an alien, but if you there's a way to get rid of the, let's see, skin brightness. No. What? Gosh, crazy looking. Mm, rim angle, blah blah blah. Field of view, reflection. God, no texture on. Duh. This is kind of cool. And then where is the shadow strength? Turn that down so I can see into it a little bit. You like fall off. It's just, oh, that's looking way better. And then, so you can still get a good. I like this one because, oh shoot, I think I like. God, how you? There's a way to that does that, that does that, that does that. Crap, something's got to. Yeah, you can move it with that too, but yeah. So anyway, this is kind of nice because I can actually see some things that I was looking for. God, maybe it's just easy to navigate the thing. This girl had her eyes like crazy wide open, so you can't tell. So the thing that I've been wondering is, when do eyes go from uh yeah, you can have both of these open at the same time, which is kind of nuts because you can kind of oh, you can do that and have them both next to each other and kind of see what is going on. Wow, the eyes are like way up here. This is one thing I always wonder is where are the eyeballs? And every I don't know, every the bridge of the nose, right? This piece is right here. So if we go from here to here, we get and then the eye, yeah, the eyeballs kind of like right here. It doesn't feel like it because there's this giant sack of meat that happens right here. It's all muscle that fills in there, and then the eyeball comes in here. Whatever. Anywho, I always wonder when the eyeball goes from the upper lid goes from this shape to, and it gets a decreasing angle until it gets to that. And then you're looking at the bottom lid doing that. So yeah, I always wonder about that. And you want that to be kind of. So the idea is, from what I remember, I could be wrong, but when you look at faces, try to get that angle there. So it's more like a parallelogram. And then I try to put these, some kind of hint that it's round sitting in there. And then the, what do you call it thing? The iris is coming down like that, where it just kind of kisses this bottom lid. So it makes it look like you have a three-dimensional bottom lid if you just draw it like that, where it stops short. And then the pupil, instead of being like, it's kind of a weird thing with that pupil because if you look at an actual eyeball from the side, it's got this like where the pupil is, the lens stands off. And I think if you have the iris, it's like does something more like that, where it's like it goes back in. In other words, like it's a sinkhole, like a Death Star kind of thing. I've always wanted to ask the eye doctors about that. So anyway, and then I think you have this like thing on this film that sits on top of it. Looks like that, and this bulge here. Yeah, anyway, something like that. I think that's what's going on. Anyhow, so when you have this thing, and you do this, then you can have the pupil just kind of either kissing the top of that eyelid or just too big first off. But you want it to be set. You want less distance here, more distance. Less, more. So, something like that. There we go. That looks better. So that when you have your cast shadow going, it can dip down and then have that sort of thing going on. And this side will also be, it'd actually be more like that, I think. And then it goes up and then see how that looks when I fill it in. That looks pretty cool. And then kind of like accentuate it a little bit. So yeah, something like that. And then you want to round everything off. And then let's see, like a lot of them have like, it gets narrow there and then it gets thicker back here. But there's always like this turn here. And then a lot of times too, like it's not just like this simple form. Like if you figure drawing it, you want to draw like that's there, but you want to draw, it's more like these shapes all overlapping each other and doing that. That's an extreme version of it, but for graphic purposes and just drawing a nice little eye, you can do something like that. And then have a meat, and they call it a meat or something. I don't know. I've seen that in a book, textbook called the meat of the eyeball, meat of the eye socket. Get that, and then it fades off over here somewhere. Yeah, you have like a connecting muscle right there. I always tend to put a dot or something there, and then you get that. You'll see that shape a lot of times too. Anywho, this is my big concern, is like trying to figure out how to turn an eyeball from top to bottom. I don't know what happens if I color that in. Does it look good? It's kind of horrible, but just keep it. Put that there. Side. Yeah, that's fun. Fun to make eyeballs. And you back to the whole head. Let's see. So hard not to want to do that. Super up angle. I don't know about that. It's crazy now. But gotta mess with the lighting so bad. Shadow strength. I don't know. I don't want the shadow too crazy. Just turn it down. Anyhow, all right, here we go. Let's see. This one's, yeah, Windows 2. Sometimes I think I look at these things and I'm like, oh my god, I got the thing way too big. This is a hard angle for me. It's like the super up angle. It's like the forehead's barely touching anything. Like, yeah, the forehead's barely visible, sort of thing. And then yeah, nose is like way up there. So I'm gonna try to stop doing that. So what do you do in this case? Well, nose looks like kind of that. Girl's got a pug nose. I'm sorry, girl. Change her nose because I don't really care for it. Again, sorry. And then I should probably really be. So I've been trying to be mindful of this shape that makes up like. I can even draw it well yet, but I'm working on it. Where you get to this point where the eye socket's cut in, and then there's this shape right here where the cheeks come out and make this kind of shape on their own. And they do that the whole way around to where the jaw is. And then you got a whole other shape that comes down out of that for the chin. So trying to like break that up, but no, if that's a good idea or not. And again, it's like, man, that where what angle is the break? It depends on the person for sure. And then the thing too is the eye is the right size. But I do like that I got this out of it. Like barely showing the eye socket to make her look like she's looking straight. It's a good note. I got one note out of this night. It's a win. God, that was bad. Anywho. More there. And then maybe cut the hair to put on her. Maybe it comes down. Yeah, something like that. Feathers off. That's kind of cool. And then just make sure we have that. And see if I get rid of these. It just kind of helps you stay symmetrical on the other side, thinking about that cheek shape. So trying to think about that now with this one. This stops here and comes back this way. And you have neck. And then we have chin there. And this back here and goes up here. How far back here? Separate our we're seeing more of the top lip. The bottom lip. And we have that, and this comes out. That's maybe our center line sort of thing. And then it's hard to show that up turn towards the eye socket in this case, but so I have that, and then got the whole thing is this whole part right here is hiding the. Let's see from the bottom. I can tell like I can draw my triangle there and get that and that. I know the eyes are supposed to be kind of like there. And then draw that. Ugh. It's so hard on a Cintiq for some reason. God, it's gross. So, let's try this. There we go. And then over here, it's already there. And so this is actually going up, over, down again. Yeah, and then, so for this one, it's like, man, you draw the pupil bouncing off of that. I don't have a reference for this on this thing. Or you draw it up there. That looks weird, so I guess down there. It's gotta be. And then, so what's going on the other side? The same thing. You gotta draw that, doing that. And then we have people. That's bonkers. Yeah, you kind of show it like that. It makes her look like she's looking straight ahead. So onto that bottom lid, you have pupil, your iris doing that. And then you can have your pupil doing that. Seems like that's what you gotta do. That is not so. And then you have the cheek right there. Eyebrow, you have your meat or whatever right here. And eyebrow. That, so yeah, that's crazy. Is that right? Well, let's see. This girl's head's crazy looking. I don't know. I'm drawing this off of the weird thing. Looks better if I make the one thing that I did notice off of drawing the skull is if I can, it still has to connect back there in a pretty decent way. So if you draw through, you can make it feel right and then kill some of that again. Don't need that after you figure that out. And then, yeah, the neck is going to come here and just kind of thing like that. And, man, that's tough. This is tough because I got this shadow. You can see like the shadow's all big. I bring this over here, like you have the shadow through here, but this isn't over here near the ear. It's actually putting the form shadow over there. I don't know what I'll have to do to get that light. I can't really get that over there. It would be more having to shift the whole light. How did I do that before? Oh, just stupid drawing. It's alright, I think I'm in a place now where I can. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Boom. That's what I was looking for. Kind of like want to highlight that plane a little better. So now that changes things a little bit. So that puts a cast shadow here and then going here. And what I wanted to see is where it meets the ear right there. And we want our ear, top of the brow. Go ahead and get this knocked out. So I don't know if that feels good either. Weird. Huh. Let's see, it's going up that way. Maybe. That feels better. Color that in just to know that that was there. And then the ear below the brow. Yeah. And doesn't have to be that far back, does it? And then I don't think that really did that any justice, but kind of fix it as we go along. And then get the neck coming out of. You got your ear hooks up. You got this little thing right there. Ooh, I've got the skull sketcher thing up. So this is what I'm looking for was your big neck muscle comes off of this thing right here. It's in the dark. You can barely see it. Nope. Let's try this. Whoop. Yeah, there it is. This little guy right there. So looking for where that would be. That's ear canal. And then we want that to be yeah, like you can actually see the shape of it right behind the ear. Kind of like right there. Boosh. Goes like this stuff comes out from there. You get this shape right there. Right about there. And that's where this neck comes out of. And it kind of goes that way and then that way. But you gotta be careful with the shape of your neck so it doesn't look all weird. And then you have your body on that way. And now it looks like we have yeah, this is what I need to work on the most right now. And I like the idea that there's a shape there that connects and it does that. It's kind of like this bridge shape right there. But we only need to hint at it for now. And then the problem is there's a plane there, and then there's a plane over here where it actually like comes off of that. I'm just gonna do that, hint at it, put a lot of emphasis on it. It does do that. So might as well put that there. Here. Alright, anyway. And then as far as hair, who knows? Oh, I've hit 2 o'clock. I've hit my limit. No, I found this girl. It's like so I've got this other page up of like hairstyle or whatever. So I'm looking at like this one there. I don't know. I don't know. I like how the hair is very just wispy, plain hair, but it doesn't have to do anything crazy. And it's very thin coming off of there, and then can do that sort of thing. And maybe there's some variances going on here. There, and then maybe it's kind of getting that little push there. Yeah. Anyhow, that wasn't too bad. And then what lines do we need and what lines can we take away? Kind of like the draw line on this one for some reason. It doesn't look too bad. And then we can draw that's not too horrible. Color that in actually looks pretty decent. Yeah, cool. All right, that's not a bad one to end on. Had a pretty good night of drawing. I think I like it. So I'm gonna call it there. Only one I didn't really care for was this weird one. I don't know why. I think maybe it was the nose. Maybe the nose just needed to be bigger or something. That's like a pig nose. I drew it and like, there's no nose there. Range. But, see if I can fix it real quick. Ish. Ish. Oh, that helps a lot too. Sometimes it just helps to color stuff in. And then, does that help? So there's like a bridge underneath the mouth. Sometimes I like to see if I can draw it. Sometimes just need to hint at it. And it wraps around this whole area, but if you start drawing that, it makes it start looking old. That to look old. Same with up there. I'm not super happy with that nose, but I'm not gonna sit here and keep doodling with it. Yeah, I don't know. I can guess at the problem, but I don't want to keep messing with it. But I do, but I don't. Here, is over there? Could be. Broken nose. Anywho, I'm not mess with it anymore. I'll have to put that one up tomorrow, perhaps. Anywho, it's a page ahead. Something's going on. I have no idea what, but I meant to color that in the other day. Some pencils feel good to fill things in with, others do not. That's not too bad. Give her a really big bullet nose or whatever. Anyhow, all right, yeah, I think I'm gonna call it there for tonight and move on to tomorrow. I'll get some good sleep so I can have some fun drawing again mañana. All right, well, on that note, have a good evening. I can't find the OBS button. There it is. Go back to our little